Uh, hello, everyone. It's your awesome girl, DJ Up in the Biz. You know what I like to do, like to support all my beautiful people in their artistry. Today is the awesome day where I got to choose self-employed author, number one only, Hase Trek. How you doing over there, my
Thank you,
guy?
thank you. That's a great introduction first. I'm excellent. I'm excellent. I'm a little tired, but which adult isn't tired nowadays?
No,
Everybody's tired, but I'm
I
good. How
can't
you
blame
doing?
I can't blame you. I'm glad to see you. You're all healthy. You're all good and safe. You had a good Thanksgiving? Because I was
Yeah,
great. I ain't
yeah,
gonna lie.
yeah. I went in. I went in. You know how we do. Collard greens, mac and cheese, 8 plates, cakes, all the time.
You
You
already
know how I
know.
go. Yep.
And a plate to go. So
And a plate to go. Yeah, yeah. A big plate.
exactly. Not them little small ones. We need a whole bunch.
Exactly.
So I'm so happy. I'm so honored to have you on my platform. Welcome to my show. Once again, how I got to meet the awesome Hayes himself. We got introduced through Keith.
Shout out Keith. Yep.
Yes. We got introduced through Keith because I was in the midst of purchasing Keith's book. Then I met this brother over here. He was like, I do a little something. So
Yeah.
what do you mean little? Like, yo, this book is freaking crazy, amazing, and
Thank you.
great.
Thank you. I
So
appreciate that.
iconic. It's such a pleasure having this beautiful project. His book is called Circle of Pain. This is not his first book. The first book, I got to make sure. Yes, The Big Fight. That was your first book.
Oh
And
yeah.
there you go. Because I didn't get the
I'm,
first.
I'm happy you mentioned that.
Yes,
This is the
there we
proof right here. My first official book.
go.
I
That was your
want to
first.
say it was like seventh grade, sixth grade.
Yes.
First official one.
Yes, that was your first book, and then eventually it led to Circle of Pain, which I briefly said on the biography, but I mean, I could go into so much into depth, but I think they'd rather hear from you instead of my crazy butt. So,
Yeah.
number one question is, who in the world is Hayes Trek? Like, how did you even come up with this amazing name?
No, that's a great question. Hayes Trek basically formed around the time that I was going through all the adversity. Like when you read the book, I'm gonna say around the chapters of I want to say from like equilibrium on, like here we go again is probably where I really target a lot of the adversity. And I want to say that that's where I was going through that spiritual change. And I was dealing a lot with faith, belief in God, belief in myself. And at that point I was actually reading a lot more too. And so as I was reading and doing research, I came across like a religious group that they call the Nation of Gods and Herbs, the 5%ers. And one thing that intrigued me about them was that they had their own alphabet to create their name. And so I was like, oh, that's kind of dope, man. Like how they use like a certain A can mean almighty, in their lingo, you know what I mean, in their religion. And I was like, damn, I kind of want to create my own name and understand the influence of people having that other personality and that creative side of them. Most people have a second name. Like think about the Undertaker. Like, he
Yeah.
has such an illustrious long career, something that was just so amazing, you know what I mean, under that tag, the Undertaker. And so I wanted to, create something, that kind of like got me out of the normalization of Stephen Davis and what he does and kind of create and delve on the part of me that was like people didn't know that adventurous part. And so I came up with Hase Trek, and Hase means like honorable, almighty, supreme entity. And I wasn't saying I'm God or anything, but I was basically taking ownership of my life at that point. And the Trek is basically my journey. If you think of like Star Trek or Trek in general, it always deals with the journey. So I put it together to basically say that I was claiming my journey. And so that's how I came up with the name.
And I felt, and I mean, even when I interacted with you and I got to know you the first time through Keith and everything, it was just mind blowing because that's the persona I got instantly before you even told me your name. I'm definitely telling you guys on some real stuff. This young man right here that you're seeing right in front of your eyes is a really intelligent and visual creator. And what is so beautiful about you is that your research of pretty much trying to question how can we get to the full potential of life. Especially, it's just something about it is breathtaking because it's not really a very common thing for many folks to really truly think of. And I like that you bring light to how you take ownership to your journey. So throughout this research, especially finding the title and claiming your entitlement to the name, what has made you grasp into wanting to go further in depth, with your motivation and your inspiration and your livelihood, not only just as your, in your writing, but just as a lifestyle in general? What's really keeps you motivated?
I think the positive aspect of me mainly comes from like the people that was surrounding me at the time that I was going through everything. Like when you read the book, I can shout out like Justin, who's like one of the characters in there, and you'll get like a few other characters who had like such a great influence as I was going through that moment. And I figured, why not kind of highlight the book around being positive and how, with a situation and with the situations like I was going through at that time, anyone could have just tapped out and said, F it, I'm just going to just give up. It's so much things going on. There's a lot of pressure. You got kids, you got court dates, you got so much stuff going on. And I think that positivity is what helped me to write the books, to write Circle of Pain, to find a source to really get out that energy, to find a way to help other people that may be going through something similar to me. A lot of the topics that we talk about in Circle of Pain are like everyday conversations among each other, like our friends and stuff like that, whether it's relationships, whether you're an athlete, and I talk about the whole aspect of sports coming from being the worst, athlete to becoming a better athlete, or whether we just talking about adapting to your society and the things that go on in your society and how, unfortunately, even if you don't want to partake in things, you're subject to have to partake in certain things because of the makeup of your community.
That's true.
A lot of that came from just like trying to find a better reason or a better way to convey to people how you can go outside of that, and find and tap into whatever you want to tap into that gets you to your full potential, whether it's, coming in every day. And because I think when people think of full potential, they think millionaire, they think outside the realm of saying, I could just be effective at my 9 to 5, by coming in with a good attitude, by actually challenging myself to take on different positions and just owning what I have. It doesn't have to be the millionaire mind state, which I think is obtainable, but I think people can also do it at a lesser level.
Do you think, just to add on to it, because you do mention too that according to Inc.com, researchers say that only 8% of people reach their full potential in life. And I would like to hear, everybody has different definition of what, full potential of life means. But I would like to understand a little bit more of your definition of what full potential of life means.
Okay. Like in conjunction with what I said earlier in terms of like, it could come in various forms. For me, I think full potential is, being able to fulfill your purpose, whatever that purpose may be. Everybody has an individual purpose in their life. And I think once you get to that point where you can fulfill your purpose and you can also feel as though or know as such that you're impacting not just your own life, but others' lives, in a positive manner, that's to me, that's like an example of full potential, at its at a lesser form. But then you have for me, I dream big, and I'm a very big dreamer. And I know a lot of people do dream, we all dream, and a lot of us do dream big. And for the big dreamers, I would say, if it's that plateau of getting or leaving generational wealth through estate, money and things like that, that's full potential. But also still, like I said, having that impact in the community where you're helping others. So in conjunction with helping yourself, I think full potential is also being able to impact the community and leave a legitimate legacy.
Legacy, yes. Very, very true. Hi, Gina. Yeah, person that said. Definitely, since we're going on to the topic of your book, which is one of my faves, Circle of Pain. I wanted to read, if you're mine, I'm going to read one of my favorite parts because I wanted to
Ooh,
do
for
a little
sure.
bit more in depth of. Here, let me get it. Give me. Ow. Here we go. So, hold up. Sport. Here we go. Sports and identity.
One of my favorite chapters. Yup.
See?
Favorite
You
chapter.
know, I want to like pretty much. I want to like get to this little part of it. This little conversation that it was a part of the characters that I had.
Mm-hmm.
And it's just so beautiful and visual. First, here we go. And it was on page 26. On bus rides from school, we would talk about everything: schoolwork, girls, funny things, and life. Nadir was more socially experienced than me. Nadir's parents were a little more lenient when it came to him going outside and experiencing the community. I could mainly go outside Friday and Saturday with a Sunday expectation occasionally. My mom was strict, always fearing guns, gangs, any and everything. The neighborhood we lived in wasn't too bad at that time at all. Once I met Nadir, I've been exposed to the reality of what Nork was about. He was intellectual book wise, but he was also street smart. The most major thing I began to understand and be exposed to at 13 was gang culture. I'd begun to see its expansion and popularity in 2003. And it is so still relevant till today.
Mm-hmm.
There are a lot of young teenage boys from, or even preteens, like 10-year-olds, who is in still the same position. What I really enjoy is that you sit us down into this position of this young mind with a mother who is strict, and we all got that one mom. You know what I mean? And it's just the part I really would like to go in further depth and ask you: why was it important for us to hear from a young, a young black boy, especially in Newark, to just share from a child mind like of curiosity? What was really truly, the process of just this little part right here?
Well, that part meant a lot to me. You know why? Because I felt like, growing up without a father, that your closest, I want to say what you learn from best is your friends that's closer to you as males. Like when you don't have a father, the males that's closer to you become the ones that mold you in terms of your masculinity and things like that. And so when I looked at me there, he was like a brother, like we grew up, he was like a brother. And I was so oblivious to the whole gang stuff at that time until I met him. Then I started to understand the influence of it and just to see the popularity of it and things like that. I know the gang culture, a lot of people say like the gang culture started early 2000s. They would say like 2000. But for me, from my standpoint, I noticed it around 2003 just by the way he was teaching me. He began to teach me the mannerisms and the lingo and things like that. And I think for me, it was easy for me to kind of accept it too, in a sense. Like a part of me was intrigued by it. That, this is what brought guys together. This is something that people heralded in the community. It was like a badge of honor to be in the gang, and as you still see today, it's almost like if I'm in this gang, I represent this. This is what I do. And I think it was important to shed the light that he was smart too. A lot of people with gang members, we think that they lack, intellectual ability, and a lot of these guys are not dumb. Think of it, these guys from $1 million schemes, they're illegal and stuff like that, but you got to have a brain capacity. And so I think that experience kind of like, I want to say it shedded that, what they call shedded your innocence, it shedded my innocence a little bit. And I wanted to target that because I feel like you said, it's so prevalent now and it's important now. And I think my mind frame just thinking about that and just going through that, it was almost like I said, I was intrigued by it, but I was also in like shock, like damn, like this is what goes on. And you know,
Yeah.
this was when also like when guys would gang bang on color, like they would color bang, which mean like if I'm wearing this new hoodie, there's a chance I walk outside, I get my ass whooped at that time, you know, walking in certain communities. And so I just wanted to shed light on it to talk about, you know, Nook and like just like a special manner, you know, like yeah, we got gangs, but you got to look at it this way too, like just to give another perspective on gangs, you know. And I guess I hope I answered your question, but
No, you got it. Because see, the thing that I wanted people to hear is that there is that innocence that does along. It's not really, oh, they just do a lot of bag and be juvenile and the whole thing. No. A lot of young Black men look for somebody to look up to. And in that paragraph, you showed us that, you know, I didn't have somebody I could really, like you had mom you could look up to, but it wasn't the same as a masculine man. And how you envisioned it as a young mind and illustrated in your young mind, you saw that Nadir was the one that pretty much imaged that.
He was I'm sorry to cut you off, but like he was my brother. Like he's the one who told me how to. He's the reason why I played basketball. Like you said, picture. I kind of like gotta credit him for like my basketball success. You know, because like you said, even though he was just starting to trail off into the gang stuff, I was still learning so much from him. You know, he got better grades than me.
Yeah, and that's true. That's true. A lot of the folks, especially in this time period, they don't realize how highly intelligent some of the folks who are in these gangs really are. It's just that the emotional mismanagement. And this is a great example, especially this is one of the greatest examples where it's not really a start, it's where it trends off. Because what it is that you had emotional tie of a relationship that you saw that was just bound, and it actually influenced you to even do better with your sports or doing better with what you dream of and what you felt, and you felt that security too in that. And a lot of people, you know, they think, oh, well, they're doing bad, blah, blah. Well, the real true question is, why did they start in the first place? And what you did was show just that experience and bond of relation. You look up to this guy saying, but beyond of what he really actually doing, it's just the mind frame of dream and ambition, you know? And this is where us as people, we educate ourselves a little bit more of saying, you know what, let's just use this and make it a little bit better to, you know, be a positive outlet. So your book is really the transformation, if you really truly think about it. And I like that it targets all age. It's a welcoming book for all ages, because every single one of us in some form of our lives been in that situation. I know for me, you know, I don't have to be a young Black man. I'm a young female. I've been in that. I've seen somebody in that and still got influence. Just because, you know, went to school and this, that, and everything, that's glitz and glam. But this is a reality of what culture can influence to others. It's our job, especially as artists, to bring light and shed light onto topics such as these. Another thing too, tell me about how it felt, and how do you feel that you have a transformation currently now after writing the book, of the process and all and everything?
Oh yeah, I would definitely say so. I think once you get that first book out, because it's a lot when you're creating your first book, you know, you're dealing with a lot of things internally. From what are they going to say? The critic, thinking about what criticisms that you will face, and you know, when you like just creating a book that's so personal and transparent, that right there alone is a lot of pressure, because you know now you got family members and certain people like you know, they're like, oh, maybe could you tweak this a little bit, and you know I like that, but and so you're dealing with a lot in terms of like outside stuff, and then you have your internal stuff as well, like is my writing good, you know, is the cover this, will they get the message? There's so many things that's, you know, affecting the composition in sense. I'm trying to get that right, in sense. But I think now after my first book, I'm fairly more confident in my work for sure because of the feedback. Also, I think more or less because I felt like I cleaned my slate too. You know, when like I said, I'm transparent as ever in the book. And a lot of things that I harbored inside and a lot of things I wish I could have communicated at different times, I was able to get out in that book. You know, that was therapy for me. And
so pretty much you felt redemption through writing the book, and you felt renewed after doing it as well.
Yes.
Wow.
Yeah, I definitely felt redemption and renewed, you know. And I think, you know, after completing a book that was as intense as this, I think now like writing is as like I've grown upon it, you know, and I've learned to accept it. Like even though at times it's challenging because it's like a personal thing, you're always in this dark space, you're typing, you by yourself. I've learned to get through that process and to just, you know, accept my work for what it is. And I also am willing to always get better at my work. Like I'm so critical of my work. I always look at it like I'm reading James Baldwin. Damn, the way his themes of playing with the words and things is so intricate. It's so amazing. You know, I put myself to that. I want to get to that level, you know, you know, like you know, Richard Wright and things like that. But I think now in this terms of like how I've worked through that stage to get to this stage, I think I'm a lot more comfortable, a lot more confident, and you know, I'm just waiting to see how, you know, I can grow this platform so a lot of people could, you know, see like Hase Tregg's work and the social change and the personal change that I'm trying to promote to people.
Yes, it's very true. I've seen you even, you know, out of the book, I've seen you do a community service with other young Black men and women as well. You pretty much are you're like the embodiment of empowerment. You know, right? You and Keith are like the best duo when I think of together when you guys come up with empowerment. Just a breakthrough. Shout out number one to Keith, definitely. Shout out,
my brother.
It's just so heartwarming to know and to reach. And then on top of that, we even connect. When I told you, I was like, yo, wait, this is what you focus on? Like you focus on like talking about like gang violence and how it can actually be, you know, misused and such. I'm like, huh? And then when I read you, I was like, well, you remember, I was like, well, let me read what you're talking about so I can understand this stuff. And then, you know, when I told you how I lost recently, you know, the community recently lost a great figure. I'm not gonna say him, but like, you know, it was tough on the community and how it just shifted everybody when it came down to the whole gang. And remember I told you too, I was like, geez Louise, like this is tough because not only we lost actual young Black men, we lost another group of young Black men killing young Black men.
Right.
And it was, I know you're probably gonna say it better than me. You was like, you just like let me down. You was like, listen, it's tough. He was like, it's tough out here. But the thing is, it takes us to actually listen, to actually educate, and actually be in that, you know, be in their lives. And it's just so amazing. I was like, dang, man, I just met you and you already educated.
Great. And that's how I feel. I really think it's about the youth. A lot of people are critical of the youth. If you ever go on my IG at Hase Tregg, all I do is like when I talk, I focus on you because I know they listen. And we've been in their shoes. We've been in a place where we thought we understood how the makings of the world work, and we honestly don't. But we didn't have certain pieces that could have guided us and helped us to understand, you know, the community and the world better. And so I look at them like I look at myself like I'm a reflection of the community. We all grew. A lot of the youth, you know, we growing up on the same streets. It may be a different year, but a lot of stuff hasn't changed. So with my mission, I make sure I give it to them truthfully and honestly, but I also let them know the other options out here. Because a lot of kids too, like me, I miss writing and authoring, but I bet you I could pull a pool of kids in the hood that have secret talents that they don't talk about. They draw, they sing, and I'm talking about men, young men and young women that have a bunch of talents, but they suppress them because
Yeah.
the community views them of what's promoted and what they're watching. So they suppress these, these strengths that they have in order to just blend in with everybody. And I actually want people to work outside of that. No, work outside of, what people think you should be what you want to be.
And I know you had another book too. I didn't get the chance to get that one. I think it's the one in front of the circle. Yes.
Yeah.
Do you feel numb? Tell us a little bit more in depth of that one. Because that was right after, once you was done with Circle of Pain, this was the next book that you have written.
Yep. A lot of my writing comes from, and I'm gonna be very brief and precise on that. A lot of my writing comes from things that I questioned as a kid that now I have some answers to, but I also want to kind of, put this writing out there so other people that have these questions can now have some answers and also think about it and maybe expand on what I'm doing. Maybe just to start to somebody else who has the same concerns or the same questions as me. And that's like, you know what, this is a good start. Maybe I can add to this, or, maybe this can transform my life or my community, my family's life. And so this book, Do You Feel Numb Yet? I chose the title and I felt like the title fit because when you think of drugs, they make you numb, and alcohol, they make you numb. And in a nutshell, society is numb, to these things. Adapted to, addiction. Think of New Jersey, what they say, New Jersey has the highest opiate addiction.
Yes, that's actually a fact.
And so, like I said, this is so impactful in terms of work because it's a bunch of factors that I wanted to include in a book like this. For one was like racial disparity when it comes to drugs and how Black people are the scapegoats in the face of drugs. Like we only do drugs and nobody else does it. We go to jail for it. So I tapped into that, and I spoke about like the legality aspects too, whereas though certain rules and things like you have us. When we get caught with drugs, and even if it's a small quantity, or even if you're a dealer or whatever, we sometimes put ourselves in a bind because we don't know certain things. You know what I mean? And like people think jail is the answer, but jail isn't. Jail is the only answer to addiction. And so now, as you see in society, they've gotten to that point where they've found alternative methods, and big shout outs to New Jersey, man. I'm not going to promote legality of smoking. Like I smoke, I put it out there in Circle of Pain. I smoke weed, but I also, and that's why I'm gonna tell you some real good stuff, because also in this book, I also give you the facts about weed too. I don't take a biased standpoint where I just say, let me leave weed outside the conversation because I consume it. I also give you facts about it in terms of like how we can also have its negative aspects too. But
the number one thing pretty much of the book is it's an essence of self-control.
Self-control, exactly. And that's my point. I want people to use it as a tool. Like if you're gonna do drugs, I can't stop you, but at least I can help you in terms of the information to let you know what you're getting yourself into. Like anything in life, you want to actually know what you're getting yourself into before you fully indulge in it. And that's why the interviews at the end are like the bread and butter of it, because it gives that experience, and lets people know like, all right, if I do extreme hardcore drugs, these are some of the situations. I mean, not just situations, but these are some of the things that I can go through. I commit myself to, substance abuse, drug addiction, and things like that. And I also felt like too, in terms with a book like this, we don't always get the story of the person that's going through it. Everybody else who are the normal people get to speak on behalf of those who are struggling with issues.
And
so
now,
important.
Now it brings me to my beautiful last question. I have to get to it. How do you
let's go
the world? How do you change the world, not just with the writing or with just being Hase Treg? Like, how do you change the world with your artistry, with your legacy, brother? How do you do it?
I think one way is to not limit myself. You know, like I
Mm,
said, a lot of my limitations came from within. But when you
mm,
see projects getting put out into the world and how people are receiving it, it
mm.
allows for you to now say, you know what, I'm probably am okay at this and I can actually get better. So
Yeah.
my goal is to work outside of just the States. I want to be able to impact the world, you know, like you said. I want to be able to have writing that talks about our social issues and our personal issues. And I want to be able to have people say, you know what, even if it's one person, you know, I got a guy named Ali Hill, you know, he does great work in the West Ward of North, you know, and
Mhm.
they have a team over there that's foot soldiers, grassroots that's out there helping people that's in gangs and stuff. And they're taking small steps and they always tell me the one important thing when you're doing work like this and you know when you pursuing the passion of something that's affecting the community in a positive manner, you may only affect one sometimes. And if that's one that could affect another one and that chain keeps going. You know, and so
Yeah.
my goal is somehow to affect somebody. If it's one, if it's 10, if it's 20, if it's 8 million, you know, and my goal is millions of people because I want to make sure that I'll leave a legacy where I was an asset to the world and the world is able to say, you know what, when it's all said and done, Hase Trek, man, he was for the people. He really helped. He helped to leave a blueprint for other writers and young African Americans and
Mhm.
whoever, you know, who's interested in this pursuit. You know, I left something where they could build upon, actually take it further than me, and also have a better and have a change, you know, and make a positive impact, you know, to make this world a better place. Because as we see, this place is getting intense.
Yeah.
A lot of things going on in the world, you know, negatively.
Yeah. And I'm just so grateful and thankful that we have you in this world to
Appreciate
make changes. I'm gonna tell y'all that. Let
you. I
me.
appreciate you too. This
I'm
is
just
major.
so yeah. I was just so grateful, and once again, I'm grateful and I'm so humbled that I built this amazing relationship with you. Just throughout this journey, I've always been like I told you, I was gonna be supporting. I'm gonna be working with you, and I'm gonna see how
Solid.
it grinds. And I'm being real. Hase is an amazing, amazing young man out here who will do the best that he can. He's a hard worker, ambitious, and like he said, a dreamer. And I'm just so grateful that we have young black men like you, but most importantly, we have young men that is growing up to be just like you, and you're creating that blueprint so simply, so easily, but also effectively that can not only just change one, but multiple others. And I'm just so grateful that I spend the time with you and have you right here on my platform. And I pray that all things just continue to blossom. Once again, you guys, it was Hase Track.
You're amazing. Thanks for tuning in, everybody. Follow at Hase Trek. Don't forget.
I got you.
Right.
Look, I'm gonna show. Look, you. I can't just have you on here and not show the Instagram. Now I can't just have you. Hold up.
Ooh, there
I
we go.
just take my whole thing out. There we
There
go.
we go. HC, there we go. Definitely tap in.
Right here, the writer, author, entrepreneur, motivator, speaker, the wellness supporter out here.
Yeah.
Got
I
all
forgot to tap into that too. We'll get into that another day. My whole health journey and things like that.
100%. I mean, I just love it, especially when you show the people who have like shut it out and supported it and just like really been like just on it and everything. It's just so beautiful. If you ever just needed some positivity, some life, some light, oh look, that was the day that we met.
Yeah, you up there. Look, got you. Yep.
I was Jesus, man. I was just a
Yep.
happy jolly camper when I got my book. I was like, I got my book.
Yeah, I rock with you, yo. You was like, what? You got a book on? Oh, let me get that. I'm like, oh yeah. Yeah, yep.
Like, say less. Let me have. You know, I'm just so grateful. Once again, definitely please follow him on his Instagram page. Thank you so much for your time. I truly appreciate it. Definitely please stay safe. And once again, it's the Hase Track himself who was killing it and decking it with these awesome books. Also, how can they also purchase the books as well? They could just message you on Instagram, or even better, you have a particular site for them too, right?
That's what we're working on. We're working on that in the future to get that website up. I'm not going to give a timeline right now, but we want to soon. Soon is the goal. We as soon as possible. Right now, I'm in the Essex County, Union County area, so I still do DMs for local drop-offs, but I also have my link in my bio on Instagram where people are able to click the link to get either book. Both books are under $20. I make sure they're affordable and they're great reads. And make sure it's reviews online. So, my reviews speak for themselves on Amazon, 5-star reviews for both books.
There we go. So definitely, if you're ever interested in purchasing your book, it's right over here on his link off of Instagram. Or even better, just hit him up and he'll just deliver it right to you.
Curbside, curbside like it's food.
Well, thank you again. Once again, you guys, we're going to love one another, stay safe with one another, and most importantly, we're going to write some lovely, awesome books together. Thank you so much for your time. Stay blessed, and I'll see you guys next week. Bye.